يلا فيكو تعالي كلي اكلك قبل ما يبرد. مساء الخير يا شباب. يلا حلوين نفتح الكاميراز. يلا الكاميراز يا شباب. عمرو، عمر وليد، ريان. عمر وليد I posted الحاجات اللي انت هتغطاها.
اه سويت، شكرا مس.
you're welcome. بس ليه ما عملتش حضرتك اخر واجب؟ لماذا يا كابتن؟
بس انا كنت قربت اخلصه، بس الاسبوعين دول كان عندي امتحان بس.
يعني this is not an excuse يا استاذ. مش انت عندك
بصراحة
امتحان؟ عندك امتحان شابتر 32 ده من ضمن
امم
سو اعمل الهوم ورك. اوكي
حاضر.
ريان why didn't you do the homework last homework؟ تاني ريان وعمرو لا ريان وعمر ومنى. لا منى عملت.
بس I
علي.
did miss.
يا عمر وليد.
اوكي.
عمرو وعلي. طيب last time we were doing this chapter 15 mixed economic system. We said that when I have what in this system I have two sectors. The private sector, where private individuals and groups of individuals, they own the factors of production. They decide what, how, and for whom to produce. And in that private sector, the consumers are said to be sovereign. What is demanded, highly demanded by them, will be high priced, and thus will be produced by the producers. But the producer resources will be allocated according to the forces of supply and demand. Okay, this is one thing. عندي كمان public sector, which is in factors production, land, labor, capital, enterprise. They are controlled by the government, and the government is deciding what, how, and for whom to produce. يا عمرو ويا عمر افتحوا الكاميرز. عمر وليد. So the government is deciding what to produce. خلاص based on what? Based it on its objectives. قلنا انه هنا the market and hopefully انه this mixed economic system, it will be having features that will allow it to take the best of the two systems, of the market economic system and the planned economic system. يبقى the disadvantages of the market economic system should be tackled, the disadvantages of the planned economic system should be tackled. اوكي طيب However, when the government is intervening, there might be problems. And sometimes the government would want to reduce the market failure. However, its intervention will cause more problems. This is one thing. Another thing is that I want to address how does the government, what are the measures to address market failure? Yeah, what do they do to address market failure? Who will remind me what is the meaning of market failure? أنا بقالي 3-4 حصص ما بقولش حاجة غير market failure. فأتمنى إنه I want somebody to tell me what is the meaning of market failure. Market failure, what is it? Is it a business that is not making profits? يا ريان, this is a market failure. A business that is not profitable is market failure. يا ريان, yes, no.
No.
No. طب الحمد لله, دي بداية طيبة. أمال what is it? يلا يا شباب, I want you all to think of examples of market failure. What are examples of market failure? قول يا عمر يا عادل.
Miss, market failure is like when the market basically fails to meet the demand of the consumers by like not having enough quantities like sold.
Okay. Not having يعني okay.
Like shortages, like shortages.
A shortage is an example of market failure. مظبوط.
Yeah.
Yes, برافو. يبقى عمر بيقول a shortage is an example of market failure. What else يا شباب؟ المفروض ان عمر غششكم كمان واحدة تانية. Yeah, what he said should trigger something else. The market is not producing what is wanted by people, so a shortage is a market failure. What else is a market failure? Yes, اهي منا ابتدت تجاوب. Surplus is a market failure as well. What else يا شباب؟ عمرو اللي عندك امتحان. What else يا كابتن؟
For market failure,
امم
it's when like the supply doesn't match the demand.
لم تبدع ما قالها عمر.
That's the one that I know.
poor quality او جاي منين يا منا البور كواليتي ده؟ poor quality is an example of market failure. ولا في one type of a business that will give me poor quality and this is a market failure. لا أنا قلت لكم إن أنا عايزة أكون later on when I ask you أكون بعمل I'm kind of pressing an order على keyboard. So when I press an order على keyboard it doesn't take a second. Yes, one business. What is it called? This one business. A monopoly يا أستاذ. A monopoly is an example of market failure لأن monopolies will be producing poor quality. Yes, will be producing هيعملوا لنا shortage of supply. هيبقى فيها high prices as well. يبقى يا شباب يا مش حلوين إنه the market failure is where the forces of supply and demand, where the market forces of supply and demand, they do fail. Who fails? It's the forces of supply and demand. What do they fail to do? They fail to produce what is wanted by people in the right quantity at the lowest price possible. Well, I'm not producing what is wanted, and there is a problem with the quantity that is being produced, and there is a problem with the price that is being charged. يبقى, as some of you said, shortage is a market failure. Surplus is a market failure. Low, a product that is underproduced, product that is overproduced. Merit is a market failure. Merit goods and demerit goods are market failure. Public goods are market failure. The presence of public goods or they not being produced is a market failure. A monopoly, the existence of a monopoly is a market failure. All of these are market failures because they will lead to not having the right quantity being produced, what are the right quality, ولا the right prices. طيب هنا the government, how does it intervene? The government is intervening by subsidizing. Subsidizing what? Subsidizing the products that are underproduced to underconsumed. I want to encourage consumers to produce, demand these products, to use more of these products. I want to encourage producers to produce them. اللي هم يطلعوا ايه؟ يطلعوا merit goods. These are underconsumed and underproduced. طيب, I will be doing taxes as well. طب why? I want to discourage people from buying these products. These are the demerit goods. I don't want people to buy cigarettes. So that will be the effect of a subsidy. And we discussed this last time. And we said what? And we said that this is the SY is the subsidy per item. This is the value of the subsidy. Each, the government is bearing that kind of cost. This part of the cost the government is paying. P2 is paid for by the government. Okay, and this is the total value of this subsidy. Okay, price times quantity. This area is, if I do the area, this area will give the total quantity of this subsidy. Okay, هنا the subsidy, it's inelastic, so consumers will be the ones that are getting the most of the benefit. خلاص, for this area PSX P1 X اللي هي البوينت دي, point ده is X. خلاص, PSX P1 الblue shaded area, this is the part that consumer benefits. يبقى the lower price, the consumers will get lower prices by that much. Okay, طب where is the benefit of the producer? This is the benefit of the producer. دايما below this line, below that line اللي هو اللاين اللي جاي من عند ال new supply curve up to there, that below that line, الاريا اللي below this rectangle. Okay, is it rectangle or square? This is a square باين. rectangle ده ولا square يا ولاد؟ I can't this shape.
Rectangle.
Rectangle. This
rectangle.
Yeah, so the green one, the rectangle, this rectangle is what is the benefit to the producer. So the benefit to the producer is less. Why is it so? Because I want to pass most of the benefit to the consumers in order to increase the quantity as much as possible. This was the old quantity. This is the new quantity that will be consumed by people now. Okay, in the case of, this is in the case of inelastic demand. In the case of elastic demand, you will see what? You will see that the most of the benefit is going to the most of the benefit is going to the producer. The consumer is getting a little bit. فهنا خلينا نخليها هو كمان تبقى كلها بالجرين والبلو. يبقى this is the area برضو of the benefit of the consumer. This is how the consumers will benefit. So this blue shaded area is the area of benefit of consumers. This is the value of the benefit for the consumer. طب what is the value of the benefit to the consumer, to the producer? This is the person who will get the most of the subsidy, the entity or person or business this will be the supplier. The supplier will benefit. هو اللي government will bear a lot of cost of his production. This is the area of the benefit of the supplier. It is greater than the benefit to the consumer. Why? Because only a minor or as a very small change in price will lead to a greater quantity. هنا, if I am decreasing the prices, it will be highly effective. Effective in what? Effective in increasing demand. It's very effective. هنا less effective. A decrease in price is less effective. But accordingly, what do I do? Because it's less effective, I will pass most of the benefit to the consumer. Hence, because a small, the reduction in price will cause a greater increase in demand, so I will pass a little bit of a reduction of price because it will lead to greater demand, increase in demand, with the rest of the reduction or the rest of the benefit will go to the producer. The producer will charge a slightly lower prices. هنا he will charge very low prices. Is that clear? Government, when it wants to grant a subsidy, this kind of subsidy will be most efficient and most beneficial if the demand is elastic. يعني effective in what? Effective in increasing consumption. Okay, it is effective in increasing consumption. It is effective in increasing demand. لما يكون demand is elastic. لكن if it is inelastic demand, it won't be effective. No, it won't be very effective. خلاص؟ وكمان, and the opposite is true. If the government is going to give it to going to tax products, okay, it tax ineffective in reducing demand if the product is elastic ولا inelastic يا شباب؟ If I'm charging a very high price, I'm charging a high price in order to let demand decrease. This will work out as a كان demand is elastic ولا inelastic؟ السؤال, I'm charging a high price on petrol. I'm charging a high price on cigarettes. So taxes will be ineffective if demand is inelastic. Ineffective in what? In reducing the demand. يعني if I am charging a tax, it won't be effective in reducing the demand much. طب it will be effective in what? It will be effective in collecting revenue. Okay, it is effective in collective revenue. يبقى إذا product ده عنده inelastic demand وحطيت عليه taxes, it will be ineffective in reduction of demand. Demand will reduce but not by much. لكن however, إنه the government will be collecting a lot of revenue. Okay. طيب, that's the
Okay, miss.
type. يبقى this is what احنا بنذاكر يا مس. What are we studying? احنا بنذاكر how the government is intervening in the economy, in a mixed economy. What does the government do in order to tackle the problems of market failure? Okay, if it was a market economic system, there would be market failure. Okay, the part that is operated by the private sector would cause certain market failure. The government هنا is intervening to do what? To correct the market failure. What is the first market failure? I am having the first market failure هنا. This will work out on the situation بتاعت ايه؟ بتاعت merit goods. The government will be subsidizing the consumption of a merit good عشان to increase supply. For supply, when it increases, prices will be reduced and then demand will be increased. يبقى merit good is a product that is under consumed. The government will intervene in order to let its prices fall. If the prices are falling, الأول supply increases first. After the subsidy, supply increases. When there is something that is having abundance of supply, then its price will fall. If price is falling, then demand will expand. Okay, then I am هنا causing the demand to increase. فهنا I am letting them consume more of a product that is more beneficial than they realize. طب والsituation بتاعت demerit goods. Demerit goods, طبعا the government can do taxes. Okay, in order to make the product more expensive. When the product is more expensive, people will buy less. فده situation, يا إما subsidies يا إما taxes to correct a market failure that is merit or demerit goods. يبقى احنا بنذاكر how the government is intervening to correct the market failure. طيب, okay, another market failure is monopoly يا حلوين. Monopoly. اوبا. Okay, another market failure is monopoly. يعني ايه monopoly؟ يعني if one business is controlling the supply of a certain product, it is the one that is responsible for full supply of a certain product. No other producer. No other producer. طب ما احنا قلنا monopoly is a market failure and they will charge high prices. They will be complacent with quality. يعني they will not be giving good quality to the consumers. ما هو انت كconsumer you don't have any other alternative. Why would I research and develop and improve my quality? Why should I give you variety of products? I want. You are obliged to buy from me whether you like it or not. You will be buying from me, whether my prices are high or low, you'll buy from me. Whether my quality is good or not, you'll buy from me simply because there is no competition, no alternative. فهنا in this situation, the government will not, this is a market failure. So the government will intervene to ensure that monopolies do not arise. Any firm that is trying to abuse their market power, they are trying to exploit consumers, the government will intervene to stop them. طب how? Prevention of mergers, that it will act against the welfare of consumers. يبقى a company A, a car manufacturer, is planning to buy another car manufacturer. Company A will buy company B. Both of them are car manufacturers. And they are planning to buy company C as well until a monopoly is arising. Yani a company will keep on buying others until the monopoly will be the end result. The government will investigate such kinds of monopolies. Is company A intended to keep on buying B and C and others in order to develop a monopoly? ما خلاص, they will be buying the competitors. Competition will be reduced in order to develop a monopoly, and then later on they will exploit consumers. If this is the case, this monopoly will not be allowed to happen. This monopoly will be deregulated. يعني هيحصل هيحصل regulations, مش deregulated. Will follow certain regulations. Okay, which prohibits uncompetitive practices like predatory pricing and limiting pricing. Okay, predatory pricing يعني برضو could be another way on which يبقى هنا one way in which a monopoly is arising, a company keeps on buying the others. This is one thing. The government can break down this kind of monopoly, can force the new business, which consists of ABC, to break down into smaller businesses. Type. Another way in which a monopoly can arise is that predatory pricing. What is the meaning of that? Predatory pricing means that company A, هنا بقى أنا أحكي لكم حدوتة ثانية. مش تكون company A is a car manufacturer as well. It will charge very low prices to its cars. يبقى cars of company A will be sold at a loss for a period of time. طب why? Because they want company B will not be able to sell its cars at a loss like company A. Company C will not be able to sell at a loss. They cannot afford these kinds of losses. So company C will be driven out of the market. But consumers are not buying from them. Consumers, they buy from A, which is charging very low prices. But C will be driven out of the market because it cannot afford to operate at a loss. B cannot afford to operate at a loss as well. Then remains A. يبقى predatory pricing, charging very low prices deliberately. I'm doing this. This is not because I am efficient. No, I am selling at a loss actually. Okay. لو كان because I'm being efficient, خلاص the government will not intervene. A company that is charging low prices as a result of it being efficient, wallahi, well and good, let the others do the same. If they're not doing the same, خلاص, it's okay for them to leave the market. لكن if company A is selling the products at a loss in order to deliberately drive the others out of the market, لا, انت بتعمل كده uncompetitive practice. يبقى انت you are deliberately doing a market failure. This is an uncompetitive practice. This will be stopped. Yeah, but the government will keep on monitoring businesses in order to find out if there is a monopoly to arise by charging predatory pricing or limiting pricing in order to drive others out of the market and remain as a monopoly. وبعدين later on exploit consumers. لا والله, this will not happen. Okay, the government will be there and will not allow this to happen. Consequences will be there for that business. Okay, the government may be removing barriers to entry and exit into the market. More, for example, if there are too many paperwork for a business to enter the market, but this might be discouraging some businesses to enter the market because a lot of regulations, a lot of paperwork, this will be هيحصل deregulation. Fewer paperwork, fewer documents to do. Okay, in this situation, why? In order to make it easy for businesses to enter the market. As a candidate, for example, a monopoly is arising because of patent rights, the government will reduce patent rights. If a monopoly is arising because this is controlled by the government can privatize businesses that are owned. A monopoly that is owned by the government will be privatized in order to allow competition to enter into that market. private businesses would be afraid to compete with a business that is owned by the government. So the government will now privatize in order to encourage private firms to enter the market and compete with the other that business that used to be owned by the government is now not owned by the government, by private individuals, so others can join that market. هل أنا مفهومة؟ يبقى predatory pricing, what is it? Is where a firm charges prices below the cost. يعني below the cost يعني I'm selling at a loss to drive rivals out of the market. They do that deliberately. مش إنه unintentionally. No, they are doing this deliberately. As later on, when the others are out of the market, we will start the monopoly, the predator, will start charging very high prices to cover up for the losses they made in the previous period. And limit pricing is when the price are set low enough to discourage the entry of new firms into the market. فهنا this one is I am not driving others out of the market. لا, I'm giving very low prices. Why? Because my business is a large one that is benefiting from economies of scale. So I'm charging very low price in order to make it hard for small businesses that are inexperienced and that are entering the market for the first time to charge a price like mine. They don't. My business benefits from economies of scale. And this means that when the business grows very large, I can get discount from suppliers. I can get technical economies. I'm capable of buying the latest machine that will allow me to produce at a very low average cost and so on. And I'm benefiting from certain factors because of operating at a very large scale. So these factors will lead to what? A reduction in average cost. Cost of production will be very low, so I can charge low price. But the new business that wants to enter the market, an entrepreneur that wants to enter the market to compete in this situation, they will be discouraged. Why? They know that their cost will be higher than the price charged by the competitors. فهنا this is برضو, it's considered anti-competitive practice. Okay? Questions so far? Environmental policies. Again, احنا قلنا pollution is a market failure. Okay, pollution is a market failure as well. Why pollution is a market failure? Because when the business is charging a price, they are charging a price without taking into consideration the cost of pollution that they are causing to others. فاكرين externalities? Okay, هنا external cost and external benefits, both of them are market failure. A business that fails to take into consideration the cost of harm they are causing to others will be charging a price that is lower than should be, and thus producing a quantity, and the product will be demanded by a higher quantity than should be. Okay, المفروض the prices of those products that are polluting تبقى higher. ليه? Because they have to be penalized for the damage that they are causing to the community, to the local community. Clear? As I told you, if Marlboro company is causing air pollution, it is causing the people that are living nearby to get health problems. If this is the situation, they're getting health problems, then the Marlboro should be charged a penalty for that. Actually, it is not. In real life, it is not. If it's not, why is it not being penalized? Because why is not charging a higher price? Then they don't take into consideration the charges they make to the harm they make to others. طيب يبقى هنا firms can be affected by a range of policies designed to improve environmental conditions. Government will intervene in order to reduce that environmental thing. What will they do? Will they place restrictions on the amount of pollutants emitted by each and every company in air? Yeah, you're allowed to pollute with a certain amount, a certain liters, certain amount of liters, certain amount of meters. Yeah, I don't know how they are calculating it, but there is a certain level of pollution that you cannot exceed. I will not talk about air, but I will give you another example that we can understand. I will talk about litter. If the company is littering, what does it mean? It litters يعني waste material, physical waste material, plastic bags, paper bags, papers, plastic, dust, whatever. If there is the company is littering, there would be a limit to the amount of litter they can emit. فهنا they can emit مثلا 2 tons of litter every month. أنا بألف. Okay, فهنا يعني the government will be doing restrictions to the quantity of waste, physical waste that they are causing to the environment. Similar to that, there would be measures related to air pollution. The government could be fining any firm which exceeds these limits. You have a limit, you're exceeding that limit, then you will pay a fine. The fine will increase your cost of production. A fine is a cost of production. A tax is a cost of production. هنا your cost of production will increase. So accordingly, what will happen to your supply? If your cost is increasing, you will become more profitable or less profitable. So you will supply more or supply less. مين هيجاوبني؟ If cost of production increases, you produce more ولا you produce less يا شباب? You supply more ولا less? Supply less. Why supply less? Because it's less profitable. So in this situation خلاص وصلنا للobjective بتاعنا. The fine is causing a cost of production, so the supply will be reduced. I want the supply of demerit goods to be reduced. I want the supply of polluting firms to be reduced. Another thing is that the government can distribute trade permits. Okay, what is a trade permit بقى? And I will be distributing a permission, okay, permission, piece of paper, permission to the businesses, allowing them to pollute up to a certain level. I will give them a limit for the pollution that they will cause to the environment. If you exceed that level, you have to buy more permissions. يبقى trade permits. This is a piece of paper given our license given to the company, allowing them to pollute to a certain limit. You have مثلا 5 tons of litter, of physical litter, 5 tons of garbage مثلا every month. طيب, okay, my company is we discharge 10 tons of litter, not only 5 is not enough for us. Then these trade permits are tradable. Okay, these trade permits are tradable. What is the meaning of tradable? Tradable يعني a company that is not polluting can sell its permission to others that are polluting. عارفين بالظبط لما بتروحوا graduation ceremony, each and every person is مثلا the school is giving you 3 tickets to the ceremony. Okay, طب you want 4 members of your family to come, you will go and find one of your friends that only has 2 members for their family. يعني they have excess tickets. عمركم كنتوا عايزين تروحوا party and you were searching for somebody who has got excess tickets. فهنا this is the situation. The company will be searching for what? Not excess tickets, excess permits by non-polluting firms or by firms who did not reach the limits set by the government. About trade permits, then in this situation they will be paying money for that. فهنا the company that is polluting will have to go and search for more permits to buy, then they are being penalized for their pollution. The company that is not polluting will be selling their permission, and if they sell that permission, then in this situation they will be earning money. This is going to reduce their cost of production. يبقى the one that is polluting will be penalized. They will have to have extra cost. The one that is not polluting will be rewarded. They will be given money. This is good. This will encourage as many firms to reduce their pollution because they don't want to pay the extra charges and they want to actually save money by selling their permits in return of money. يبقى trade payments, payables. This is business. عمالة أقول لكم trade payables. This is business, not economics. Trade permits. اسمها pollution permits actually in other books. This involves the government issuing permits to firms, allowing them to pollute up to a certain limit and to sell part of their allocated limit if they pollute less. So you're not using the full pollution permit, then in this situation, you sell the rest. If you have your notes in front of you, right next to trade permits, pollution permit, because this is the most popular term. That's why أنا متلخبطة. Right here, you know, it might have another name, which is pollution permit. And this is the one that is actually, pollution permit is the one that is popular in exams rather than trade permission. Okay, this will reward the clean firms. احنا قلنا ايه, the clean firms are being rewarded. Why? Because they can sell that permission return of money, and they will be penalizing the ones that are polluting because they have to keep on searching for firms that wants to sell their permission. The reward comes because these firms will reduce their cost and make them more competitive and capture highest market share. When the government is paying this cost instead of you, and the government is allowing you to sell your pollution permit, this means that you are getting money which will, part of your cost is borne by the government, is paid for by the government. Then you can charge lower prices, which will allow you, your cost is reduced. Then you can charge lower prices, then you will become more competitive, and thus you will be having a higher market share. More competitive, yeah, your prices are lower than others, than rivals. Then people will be buying from you, and market share will increase. The percentage of sales of your company in comparison to the percentage of sales of other companies in the same market is higher. You're selling a higher percentage than the others. Market share, what is it? Sales of the company divided by total market sales times 100. إذا أنا بتكلم على market share, what is the equation for that? Sales of company أو brand divided by total market sales, total market sales times 100. This is your market share. What is the sales of the company or a brand? يعني مثلا, let's imagine I'm talking about the sales of KitKat. فهنا the sales of KitKat is 200,000 divided by the sales of the total market sales. اللي هو ايه total market sales? اللي هو sales of KitKat, sales of Cadbury, Cadbury, Mars, Bounty, Twix, Snickers, I don't know about the rest, Toblerone, whatever. فهنا all of them are selling what is worth 1 million. كل ال chocolate producers in market, total market sales, يعني كل ال chocolate producers are selling what is worth 1 million. Your KitKat is selling 200,000. So times 100, this will give me a 20%. 20% of the market. But 20%, this is the market share. 20% of what is sold, 20% of what is sold in the market comes from the sales of KitKat. Okay, if the market is selling 100, 20 of the 100 are the products of KitKat. Market is selling 100 bars of chocolate, 20 bars of which are KitKat's products. This is the meaning of market share. طبعا the higher the better. طب how can I sell more if I'm charging the prices are lower? My prices are lower than competitors, then my sales would be higher than the competitors. Clear? So then if the government is paying part of my cost, if my cost is being reduced, then I can charge lower prices, then my market share increases. I will become competitive and market share increases. ها blah 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 Chinese ولا فاهمين حاجة؟
I understand this.
Understand.
Okay. But that's the point. And the government will give pollution permit. Why the pollution permit? In order for those firms to try as much as possible to become as efficient as possible and not to pollute. Why? I am seeking to sell my pollution permit, my excess permit. Why? To return, to get money, to receive money from the government. This will reduce my cost of production, then I can charge lower prices, then I will become competitive and I will be having a higher market share. I will be attracting the attention of consumers to buy from me and not from others because my prices are lower. Okay, and the opposite is true. If my cost of production is increased because I am polluting, the pollution levels that I am causing are very high, I will go and find another company and buy from it the excess permission they have. In this situation, my cost will increase. I'll need to charge higher prices. Then consumers will switch to buy the products of the competitors rather than mine because my prices are very high. Another thing is that regulations, the government will be regulating. يعني إيه regulating? يعني passing certain rules and laws. يبقى regulations, another word for regulation is rules and laws. So they will be placing certain rules and laws in order to do what? In order again to correct market failure. طيب, what is a market failure? If you're charging a very high price or charging a very low price. If the government believes that your prices are too high, then the government will intervene in order to set a maximum price. If the government is thinking that the prices are too low, the government will intervene in order to put a minimum price. When setting price controls. You cannot charge whatever you pleases you. If the government will inspect and find out whether the prices are good enough or not. Laws outlawing uncompetitive behavior. Any uncompetitive behavior like what, as I told you, continuous takeover until you become a monopoly, or predatory pricing, or limit pricing. If you're doing so, there are laws to make this illegal. But if it's illegal, then you will be sued to court or you'll be fined or penalized if you keep on doing it. Limiting the amount of pollution emitted by a firm. يبقى هنا there is a limit. اللي هي pollution permit اللي اتكلمنا عليها. فهنا there is a limit. If you want to pollute more, then you will have to be charged more, to be يعني to search for or to buy a pollution permit, excess permits. The government can regulate the target audience for a product. And for example, cigarettes are not, if you are below 18, you're not allowed to buy cigarettes. The shop will not sell it to you. It's illegal. The shop will have to pay penalties and will have to have problems if they sell you cigarettes. They sell minors cigarettes أو alcohol أو حاجة زي كده. فهنا these demerit goods, there should be a law. There are laws that will set the minimum age that can buy such kind of thing. Government also regulate the quality of products. The government will put quality standards and the businesses will have to comply with these quality standards. Firms should meet certain quality standards. But if you're not producing this quality, you're not meeting the quality standards, you'll be penalized as well. كل دوت is what? I am producing the good quality products. I'm producing products at a low price. I am limiting demerit goods. فكلها rules and regulations to help correct the market failure. Government may also regulate mode of staff management by firms. يعني هنا for example what? كل labor laws for example. And you are entitled to 2 days off at a week. You're entitled to work only 8 hours a day. You're entitled to have a 3 weeks paid holiday and so on. Okay, فهنا in this situation, the government specifies the number of regular holidays that a person could take. Specifies the working hours. Specifies promotions. انه انت you are entitled for مثلا a promotion every year, مش a promotion in terms of salary raise. You're entitled for a raise of salary and so on. Then why? In order not to exploit the workers as well. Government will also place restrictions on timing for opening and closing shops and control the routes that business must follow. that buses must follow. Again, in order to one of the market failures is externalities. طب externalities منها ايه؟ منها congestion of roads. Then buses may have a different route than the individual cars, for example. Okay, if you are creating noise pollution, for example, then the government will restrict the working hours of your shop or restrict the working hours of your restaurant, مثلا restaurant that is causing music وكده noise pollution to others due to the music, and there are working hours. In some airports, يا شباب, by law, they will not have any flight that is taking off or landing at after 12. From 12 to 6, a lot of airports in Europe, from 12 a.m. till 6 a.m., you will not have any flights taking off or landing on certain airports. Why? Because these are placed nearby residential area. And there is what are you talking? Stories? لا. بقول لكم ان there are restrictions on the timings and operations of certain businesses. هنا in your book it says the shops. In my example, I am giving you from real life, and there are certain airports in Europe that do not operate between 12 and 6 a.m. in the morning in order to reduce the noise pollution caused by the airport to others. This is a regulation by the government. Okay. What are the advantages of regulations and are backed by laws in these operations? And I mean, you want to مثلا I mean, if you want to reduce car congestion or road congestion, this cannot happen unless the government is regulating it. It's banning certain types of vehicles to pass from certain places. خلاص, it's illegal. Like if no laws, then people will keep on passing. Regulations are usually backed by law. If it's backed by law, then in this situation, they will be people will be more encouraged to follow, because they know that penalties will follow. If you're not following the laws, you will have to be penalized. Again, disadvantages of regulations, a lot of disadvantages of regulations. The government have to check that the rules and laws are being followed, and this may be difficult and expensive. Okay. The government will have to keep on monitoring businesses in order to find out about their intention. يعني if you want to, they are regulating, they want to regulate monopolies. فهنا they want to know مش about things that are actually happening. طبعا things that but I mean, if a business is to take over another, the government will have to follow up and try to find what are they planning, what is this business planning to, what is the objective of the takeover. فهنا this is hard to find out, hard for the government to find out, government officials to follow up, monitor business activity very closely in order to find if they are planning to exploit consumers or not, for example, or to find out if they are littering. Some businesses may hide their littering activities فهنا أو pollution activities. فهنا it's hard for the government to find out about these. Regulations will only work, and another thing, regulations will only work if people agree with them. I mean, let's take Egypt as an example. There are regulations, there are laws related to the seat belt in order to reduce accidents in the road, which is an externality, a negative externality, accidents happening on roads. فهنا this could be as a result of people not wearing their seat belt. This is one of the what will make the accident worse is that if people are not wearing the seat belt and they got into an accident, the consequences will be worse. So the point is that there are rules in order to maintain safety on roads. Like what rules? And you have to buckle your seat belt, or else you will be fined. Okay. Majority of these students are not buckling their seat belt while on the road. Majority. طيب هنا, how can the government reinforce? Do they place a police officer for each and every car in order to ask them to buckle the seat belts? Do they fine each and every passing by car? They cannot. Yeah, I mean, we cannot keep on monitoring each and every car that is passing by and fine it because the people are not complying with the laws. But the point is that the rules will be enacted if people they agree with them and they support the government to follow them. If not, then the rules will not be effective. Too much time and money would need to be spent to prosecute the offenders, and the government may become very unpopular. يعني تاني نرجع تاني لللوز على الرود. Okay, اللي هو traffic laws. When in this situation, I may need a lot of police officers to monitor the roads and to stop people and find them. And this will cause a lot of disruption, a lot of prosecution of people, or a lot of penalties for people that are passing by. And that makes the government very unpopular. People will not be happy about this. But they will not vote for that government later on. The government will need to be voted for. فهنا that's the point. إنه خلاص they will not be doing it. The law will be there, but it will not be enacted, will not be followed. Regulations do not directly compensate those who suffer as a result of market failure. يعني for example, a government that is doing pollution permit, it is collecting money from the firms that are polluting. Is this money utilized to directly elevate the harm elevate the harm or reduce the harm of those who are affected by the pollution? يعني my point is that I am finding the Marlboro company because they are polluting. Does this money that I am getting as a government, do I distribute it among the people that are living in the neighborhood nearby Marlboro, or this goes into the inflows of the government and it might be used in other areas? It might be used in paving the roads, might be used in improving education, in improving healthcare. But حتى لو if it's used to improve healthcare, it is not to improve the healthcare of people who had been directly affected. يعني let's imagine that the government is collecting money from Marlboro company because of the damage they are causing to the health damage they are causing to the people that are living nearby. The government will use that money in order to improve healthcare services. Okay, this improved healthcare services does not necessarily does not benefit the neighbor of Marlboro who had got a lung cancer as a result of him living nearby and inhaling a lot of toxic materials. مش عارفة واصلة دي ولا مش واصلة. Do you understand it? Yes, I am penalizing the company, but no, I am not giving it to the person, to that particular person. I am giving to the healthcare system, but not to that particular person who had damaged health. You don't directly compensate, maybe indirectly compensate, but not directly compensate those who suffer as a result of market failure. Yes or no? فهمتوا البوينت دي؟
Yes.
انتوا نمتوا ولا ايه؟
No, miss.
Okay. Regulations may be too restrictive. يعني هنا ممكن تكون ال fines or the taxes are very heavy. So they will increase the cost of production much. Accordingly, prices will be very high. In this situation, people will not be able to afford that expensive product and the business may fail. Or maybe prices would be too high. If we are exporting these products, then we are competing with other countries, with businesses from other countries that do not have these strict rules. But we'll be less competitive in the international market, will be less competitive in the local market because we are having rivals. This is one thing. Okay, يبقى ممكن يكون إنه regulations are will make the cost of production very expensive. Okay, accordingly, less prices will be high and less demand by consumers. Okay, regulations reduce market flexibility. Okay, again, it might be the same analysis. طيب what else يا شباب؟ إنه it creates barriers to entry. Yeah, I mean, if I find out that the government is fining a lot of businesses because they are polluting, if I find out that yeah, cost of production is very high. Okay, if I find out that the cost of production is going to be very high due to the government regulations, then any new entrants that are planning to enter the market, they will not enter the market. They will not set up. They will not open up. But another thing is that nationalization and privatization. To benefit the public and improve economic performance, a government may set up an industry or nationalize a private industry. Okay, يبقى هنا could be that they are nationalizing. طب what are they nationalizing? مثلا, as I told you, for example, education could be nationalized. Healthcare could be nationalized. Why? Because they're providing again merit goods, and I want to ensure that people are benefiting the most from these merit goods. فهنا they want to improve economic performance. Or حتى government maybe actually nationalizing a business that is making losses. A business that is making losses will result in a lot of unemployment. The business is making losses, so it will shut down. If it shuts down, then it will have a lot of consumers being made redundant, a lot of workers being made redundant. Then the government will intervene in order to nationalize such a kind of business and keep people in jobs, for example. Okay, and actually, this كمان غير keep people in jobs and keep on providing a product that it believes is important for the general public to have. Nationalizing the railway stations, because these may be operating unprofitably, but still the government is providing them because it's important. It's a product that is important for all. والpolice والdefense والحاجات دي كلها as well. For state-owned enterprises do not seek for profit, they work for the interest of the public. If I am providing, for example, public goods like defense and street lighting and street lighting and police, I'm not operating this in order to become profitable. I am operating this because they are essential for people. State-owned enterprises, SOE and state-owned enterprise, base their decisions on full cost and benefit to the society. فاكرين السوشيال cost والسوشيال benefit. So social cost and social benefit are another name for full cost and full benefit to the society. So if the cost exceeds the benefit, this project will not be allowed. This project will not be allowed, will not go further. The government will not approve it. Like, for example, I am building a road, the government is building a bridge. The government is considering building a bridge. They found out that there is a social cost exceeds the social benefit. There might be a lot of air pollution, noise pollution, whatever pollution as a result of building that bridge, so they will not build it. Okay, and the opposite is true, that if the government is planning to do مثلا another activity, build an airport, they find out that the social benefit of building the airport is greater than the social cost, then that project will be approved. But this is happening if the government is intervening. If it's by the private business, no, the private business will not look at the social cost and the social benefit. They will look at the private cost and private benefit. يعني only the profits of the business. only the cost of the business. يبقى cost of labor, land, and so on versus the benefits اللي هو revenue profit of the business. If the private benefit exceed the private cost, okay. طب even if you are causing pollution, even if you are damaging, if you are causing pollution, for example, or causing congestion of roads and so on. Even if you're causing a lot of externalities, still you will be doing the project if private benefit exceeds the private cost. Like the government will not do that. We'll look at the social benefit, which is private benefit with external benefit, versus social cost, which is private cost and external cost. They can be used to influence economic activity, government, businesses. Public corporations can be encouraged to increase their output to boost countries' output. A public corporation, a corporation that is owned by the government. A government مثلا is owning a business that is producing cars. They will, for example, the government can encourage that business that is producing cars to increase its output, which will result in increasing the GDP in the country as well. فطبعا if GDP in the country is increased, there will be greater employment, there will be higher living standards. So this is a win-win situation. But what am I doing? I'm talking about the advantages of state-owned enterprises. A state-owned enterprise will take the full cost and benefit to the society. So only if a project is more beneficial to the society than causing the cost, it will be approved. Okay. In the businesses that are owned by the government will encourage these businesses to increase their output, which will result in increased employment and result in increased GDP, gross domestic product. But this is increasing the living standard of everyone in the country. In cases where it's practical to have one firm in the industry, better to have it a state-owned enterprise. And for example, like the electricity, railway stations, water supply, tap water, I'm talking about. But these are more beneficial to have them as a monopoly. But how to have these as a monopoly? But these are, and when I don't have enough space under the ground to have two companies competing to provide pipelines of water, or two companies competing to extend wires for the electricity. Yani the space under the ground is not enough for a variety of companies to compete in that area. Yet one pipeline that is connecting water to the whole water network to the whole country is enough. One company that is extending wires throughout the whole country is enough. I don't want to have a lot of these because under the ground we don't have a lot of space for these kinds of connections. But one company is enough. If it's one company, it cannot be a private company. Why? Because this will exploit consumers. تخيل كده that the tap water at your home is controlled by a private business. The prices will be what? Will be very high. We will not be able to afford them. They know that عندنا inelastic demand for that water. They know that this is an essential product. We cannot live without water. طب وانا the only company, why would I charge you a low price if I can charge a very high price and still I know that you will buy? Okay. طيب ما هو this is not good for the economy. What about the poor? Rich will be able to buy. What about the poor? يبقى هنا in this situation the government is intervening and having that monopoly under their control. يبقى what is the advantage? The advantage is that these kinds of natural monopoly, these types of monopoly are called natural monopoly, will be in the ownership of the government in order not to exploit consumers. Yes? No? Railway station is the same. No, you don't understand?
No, Masai, I don't get it.
You don't get it. Okay. طيب تعال نتكلم على railway stations أحسن. Okay, railway stations يا عمر. I am having very, very small cities in Egypt. يعني do you know about Banha? Okay, do you know about Banha Mansoura?
No.
Oh, these are cities in villages. Banha Mansoura, Fayoum, or Giza. You only know Alexandria. So these are names of cities in Egypt, صح?
Yes, yes.
Okay. طيب هنا these could be connected by railway stations. فهنا I have very very small cities like our villages like Banha, Fayoum and so on. The space, the geographical space, the physical space in the country is very small. فهنا I have to, this space in Banha should be allocated to have houses, to have agricultural land, to have a railway station, and to have مثلا factories. Do I have enough space to have 2 railway stations in that country, in that city, or in that village? I don't. The space over there is very limited. And this means if I am having 2 railway stations, this means I will be having less agricultural land, less buildings for people to live, and so on. Do we need such kind of thing in a very small village? Well,
No,
not
miss.
necessarily. One is enough. One railway station is enough to pass by.
One is enough.
If the one is enough, then it has got to be operated as a monopoly. But if one is enough, it has got to be operated as a monopoly. But this monopoly should not be in the hands of the government, of the private sector. Why? They will charge very expensive prices on the tickets of the train. People not be able to afford such an important service.
Yes, miss.
Let it be in the hands of the government. Where there is, it's practical. But the point is that, in another word, where it's practical to have one business only, where it's practical to have no competition in certain industries, مش كل الindustries. Some other industries, I'd rather prefer to have competition. If it's a car manufacturing industry, then competition should be there. If it's furniture manufacturing, competition will be there. Electronic gadgets, then competition should be there. Like, if it's water supply, if it's electricity, if it's railway stations, it's more efficient to have one company only controlling this. I'm talking about tap water. مش water Nestle وما Nestle. I'm talking about tap water. Okay, then it's more efficient to have one company only, because when I am doing the connections, or I'm doing the infrastructure related to this is very complicated. But one company is more than enough. If it's one company more than enough, then it has got to be in the hands of the government. This we call it natural monopoly. If a natural monopoly has got to exist, then it has got to be in the hands of the government. Why? In order not to exploit consumers. Better now?
Yes, miss, I get it now.
Okay, will others?
I understand.
Okay, great. But if the government, command, another thing is that if the government owns a whole industry, the whole industry, then it gives better plans and better coordination for the whole industry. And but again, for the railway stations, timetables will be well coordinated. يعني مثلا, for example, they will plan from Cairo to Alexandria, there would be a train every hour that is going to that destination, or from Alex to Cairo, the other way, the route going to Alexandria, 1 each hour, the route coming from Alex to Egypt, 1 each hour. So people can, when you reach over there, you do whatever errands you have, and then you can return back on the same day, not on the following day. Or connection moment, you can be going to Alexandria, same day you can be finishing an errand and then going to Mansoura, or going to شرقية, or أنا بقلب في cities. I'm not sure أصلا عندهم railway stations or not, but the point is that it will make you more mobile. Timetables you will find a suitable timing that fits your whoever. Each and every consumer will find a suitable timing that fits his personal needs. So this comes because of well planning. Okay, comes because the government is well planned in this area. If it's a private business, if I have different private businesses that are if there is competition, I'm having different private businesses that are controlling different areas, they may not coordinate with each other. If there is one company that is controlling Cairo Alex line, another one controlling Alex Dumyat line, they may not coordinate their trips together. So you'll find that the following trip, you want to go to Dumyat, after you go to you want to go Cairo Alex, then Dumyat, you find that you go Cairo Alex in one day, Dumyat the following day. You will not find another train for the same day. Like, if it's handled the government, you will be finding that kind of route, Cairo Alex Dumyat, or Cairo Dumyat Alex. geographically يعني. فهمتوا حاجة؟ طبعا the geographically أكيد أنا بقول كلام مش يعني in terms of geography لا بس in terms of names of cities and you are connected with all the cities throughout the 24 hours. This will be happening. Well planned services will be there. Or well coordinated services will be there. Got it? مش فاهمين this one?
I understand.
Okay. And basic industries such as electricity, this is supposed to be services, charge low prices and produce good quality since other domestic industries depend on them. If it's in the hands of the government, they will be charging low prices. If it's in the hands of the private sector, then it's a problem. The prices would be very high and the quality will not be good enough. Type, are there disadvantages for state-owned organizations? طبعا, definitely there are. They can be difficult to manage and control. The government is controlling, let's imagine, public schools throughout the country. It's not controlling the schools in Cairo, not controlling the schools in Giza. They're controlling Cairo, Giza, Alex, whatever cities. And it's a huge industry. Yeah, sometimes they are operating a huge industry, and it's impossible to manage and control. Yeah, how can you follow up on thousands? How can the Ministry of Education follows up on thousands of schools? Then there would be poor quality somewhere. Okay. They are very large organizations, so time has to be spent on meetings, communication, staff, and so on, following up on the activities. Slow decision making will be there, inefficiency might be there as well. It will become inefficient. Okay, poor quality could be there. You don't supervise on a daily basis. You supervise every now and then. In this situation, the quality will be poor. Okay, there is lack of competition, so people are complacent. People in these organizations are complacent. They know that even if the organization failed, if I am not working efficiently in a public sector, I am causing the business to incur a lot of cost. Okay, I will be too relaxed. Why too relaxed? Because I know that the government will be subsidizing. I will not improve my actions. But if my school in the private sector is failing, and if it fails, it will make me redundant, then I'll be too keen to save on cost in order to have the school become profitable, in order for me to maintain the job. Usually people in a private school, I'm giving a school as an example, people working in a private school, they will have into consideration, we have to provide good quality service. If we're not providing good quality service, then the school will develop a bad reputation. If they develop a bad reputation, then demand will fall and the school will be unprofitable. Then they will have to make redundancies. They will have to lay off employees. I don't want this to happen to the school, because if they make losses, then I will be losing my job. Like if I'm working in a public sector school, if the school is making losses, no problem. The government will be subsidizing. I will maintain my job. In a private school, I cannot maintain the job if the school fails. Like in the public sector, I can maintain the job even if the school fails. Why become efficient if I'm working in a public sector? I will only be efficient if I'm working in the private sector. Why? What makes it worse? The government is subsidizing. A failing business in the public sector will receive more money by the government. The government deal money taxpayers. They're taking the taxpayer money in order to subsidize the failing businesses. But this is a problem. This money has got an opportunity cost. This money that the government is giving to a failing business could have been utilized to improve infrastructure, to improve defense, police, street lighting, whatever. But that's a failure. This is not good. This is inefficient. Concerns about performance of a state-owned organization, increased confidence in market forces has led a number of countries to sell their state-owned organizations. or part of it to the private sector. These concerns that workers will not be working efficiently, these concerns that the government is subsidizing, which is a drain of the country's resources. فهنا a lot of countries, they thought that it's better to privatize these businesses عشان when you are privatizing, they will be operating better in the private sector rather than the public sector. Are we clear about this?
Yes, miss.
Okay. That comes another topic since related as well, which is privatization. Okay, what is the meaning of privatization, شباب?
It's when a public sector company بتحول ل private sector company.
Yes, it is the selling of businesses owned by the government to businesses owned by the government, state-owned organizations, selling them off to individuals or groups of individuals in the private sector. Okay, يبقى هنا what is privatization? Selling off businesses owned by the government, state-owned organization to إما individuals, يعني one individual like you, or a group of individuals in the private sector. طب why would they do that? What is the benefit of having the business owned by the private sector and not by the public? The private sector will be, and I am afraid of competition. There will be competition, so accordingly they will be producing what is wanted by consumers at the lowest price possible. يبقى هنا in this situation, the wants of consumers will be made available. Private sector business will keep on researching and developing new products that will please consumers. Like in the government will produce what the government sees suitable. Government will be providing you with basic necessities, no luxuries. Luxurious items would not be provided by the government, and the government will be providing only the necessities. Like in the private sector, there is competition. In this situation, I am afraid that competitors will steal the customers. So I keep on providing them with a variety of choices. I will keep on providing them with I will try to become efficient in order to have a low cost and thus charge low prices. If I'm charging, sorry, I've been kicked out by the Zoom. Okay. طيب, okay, again. فهنا they will be having what? They will be having the incentive to reduce their cost in order to reduce their prices, in order to attract as many consumers as possible. Okay, يبقى هنا market forces, and now the business, as we said, a business that is operating in the private sector, they will be producing, they will have the incentive to be efficient, because they know that if they are not efficient, if their cost is high, their prices would be high, people will not buy from them, so they will not be profitable. So the opposite is true. The internet is not stable, sorry for that. But again, so I want to become what? I want to reduce my cost. Okay, cost of production. I want to be efficient, to be reducing my cost of production, because I know that if I reduce the cost, I will reduce the prices, pass lower prices to consumers, and then I'll become profitable. But that's the point. In privatization, what is benefiting Bardo, benefit of privatization is that they will be providing greater choice. Again, I want to maintain the consumers. I want people to buy from my business and not from others. So in this situation, I'll keep on researching and developing new products to attract their attention, so they will have greater choice. كل دوت is improving the living standard of people. Freedom from government regulations may reduce administrative costs. There are no regulations, and the business is not owned by the government. Shouldn't be a lot of approvals by managers, by supervisors, no paperwork, and fewer paperwork, fewer approvals by people. Accordingly, they will be decision making will be quicker in the private sector rather than in the public sector. Now we can respond to changes in the market on a timely manner. In the public sector, a lot of bureaucracy is there. Hena, no bureaucracy, no paperwork, no approvals, nothing at all. The decisions can be made quick, and responses to the market changes can be quick. But this is more efficient as well. there is less risk of underinvestment. One investor will dedicate all his money, our group of investors will dedicate all their money in one entity. Like, for example, let's take private education. Our set of investors, they are investing in one university only by shareholders. Let's imagine German University in Egypt. This is one of the private universities. The investors are investing in only one this, so they will have huge money in comparison to invest in that building, rather than what in comparison to the government, which has got a limited budget to spend on hundreds of public universities. The money that will be allocated by these private investors to that German university in Cairo will be way more than the money allocated to a public university that is doing a similar activity. In this situation, the quality in the private sector will be way better than the quality in the public sector. It's not these set of investors, they are only responsible for one university. Each and every university will have other sets of investors. Like in the public universities, the government is responsible for hundreds of them, but the government may not have enough budget to dedicate for these. Public corporations may be kept short of fund for investment, even if they have enough money. They want to spend the money elsewhere, but the government is having a lot of things on its agenda. They want to spend on public education, they want to spend on police, on defense, on infrastructure. So one business may earn little funds from the government. So what are the arguments against privatization? There is no guarantee. Those who says they know it's better for the business to be in the hands of the government. There is no guarantee that private sector firms will face full pressure of market forces. Maybe the private sector will be operating as a monopoly as well. I am privatizing the public university, for example. I'm privatizing it. The new owners, they will be acting as a monopoly, but this monopoly now will be in the hands of the private individuals. So they will exploit consumers. Not necessarily that there will be competition in the private sector. Some private sector firms may not face competition. They may be monopolies, as I told you. They can be inefficient, charge high prices, produce low quality, and so on. I know that there is no other alternative. And the public sector is sold to another business was in the private sector, another one business in the private sector. For example, if the government is privatizing the railway stations, competition will not be there. It will be also operated by one private sector business and no other competitors. They will be exploiting consumers. We don't want this to happen. They may not take into account the full cost to the society. And there might be externalities, negative externalities. There might be pollution, noise pollution, air pollution, whatever, as a result of the private sector. If it is in the hands of the government will take care of externalities. If the project is causing a lot of external cost to others, then that project will not be approved. If a private sector business is causing a lot of external cost to others, still they will be operating. As long as it causes them private benefits, they don't care about the external cost they are causing to others. Okay, as long as it's profitable, the private sector will keep on operating. If it's profitable and causing a lot of pollution, they will operate. In the government, if it's profitable but causing a lot of pollution, they will not operate. They will not approve. Privatization reduces government's control of the economy. The government could control the economy. How? In the public sector, businesses, they can employ more people. The government can create jobs in the public sector. How does it affect the economy? Creating jobs, then people will be having incomes. If they are having incomes, they will create a greater demand on goods and services. So the businesses that are having a higher demand now could be expanding, creating more employment as well, leading to economic growth. The government can influence economic growth by creating jobs in the public sector. If the government could boost the economic activity through creation of jobs. طب if that business is in the hands of the private sector, the business may not be doing this. The business may be, instead of employing people, they may be replacing them with the machines. So accordingly, the state of the economy will be in less control, less employment. One of the objectives of the government is to reduce unemployment. The private sector will not help in having that objective being fulfilled. They might be replacing workers with machines. More unemployment actually as a result of the private sector operations. Yes or no? Clear?
Clear, miss.
Clear.
طيب I'm not sure if we can handle the rest of this chapter today ولا لا. لا, it's a no way issue that we can do it. كان نفسي نخلصها. Anyway, I have to go now. If you have questions, I will be listening to you. This is page what? This is page 8. طيب
Page 8, miss.
Yeah, questions يا شباب.
No, miss, I'm okay.
طب
No, miss.
those who did not do the homework, you have until tomorrow, because in first thing that I will do, I will be placing more homework today. For 13 and 14, I'll be placing homework. I want you to be punctual and do every pending homework before Sunday. Because on Monday, I want to finish this small part, and then I will be doing past papers related to the previous 3 chapters. Okay?
Okay, miss.
Okay. If no questions, then we can leave يا شباب.
Bye, miss.
يلا take care. Bye.
Thank you, miss.
Bye bye.